Good morning, everyone. So we've already had a pretty busy morning. I didn't film none of it, but my dad had a hamburger cow that he had sold, so we ran it up to the butcher this morning. And we came back and I unhooked off this trailer here because we found some more straw and a little bit of feeder hay to buy. And so this morning I'm gonna run up to the neighbor's place where we're buying it from and start hauling some loads back to the ranch here. But if you guys watched last week's video, you see me throw all them chains on that old Chevy truck. So, and it's warmed up the last couple of days and the roads have actually bared off. So we didn't want to run that truck all the way up there with chains on. So instead of taking the chains off that Chevy truck, we just took that flatbed trailer off of it and put it onto my Dodge. So I'm just gonna run back and forth with the Dodge instead of taking them chains off. So these are 3x4 bales that we're gonna be hauling. And I think it's gonna take us about 3 trips. I don't know exactly how many bales are up there, but I should be able to fit at least 12 bales on that trailer, if not 15 if we want to squish them on there. So we'll just see. So Dad's in the backhoe. He's gonna go push a little bit of snow to see if we can't get into the hay shed over there. We've got a pretty decent little road going out there just from having to grab hay for feeding. So I just don't know with the weighted trailer if I'll get stuck going out there or not, but we're gonna give it a try. And if worse comes to worse, we'll just unload off the road and do it that way. Just gonna check the tires on the trailer and we'll start heading that way. This front tire on the passenger side on this trailer has a slow leak, so just try to keep an eye on it every time we go anywhere too far with the trailer. Not too bad this morning, only about 10 pounds low. My dad got this hay yard pushed out pretty well while we were up there getting loaded up, so it wasn't a problem getting in here. So between these last 2 purchases of straw, we've got a decent amount of straw here on the west side of this hay shed. And we'll use some of it as bedding and stuff for the calves and the cows here when we get closer to calving. But we're gonna feed a lot of this. So what we'll do is we'll just feed them a little bit of straw on top of their hay ration for the day. And it just, especially when it's cold, they seems to keep them fairly warm when it's really cold out, just giving them a bit of straw. So we'll just mix it in with the hay and feed them some straw on top of it. So like I was saying, we got this row of straw here on the west side of the hay shed. Then here on the east side of the hay shed, we've got another row of straw that we bought last year. And there's a similar amount on this side too. So we've got a decent amount of straw to work with this winter. And here in the center, we've got some second crop alfalfa here. And then this row here is some first crop alfalfa grass mix also. Then you guys remember from this summer, we've got some of this stuff out here that's tarped. So this row here on the south side is that 4-way. So that 4-way is the beardless barley, the oats, the wheat, and the peas that we just cut for hay. And then that stack on the north side there, the shorter stack, is the stack from down at Randall's across Tin Cup. So that's some meadow grass hay there. And then of course over here we've got all of our alfalfa silage bales here. Then about 3-4 rows of dry round bales also. Then down at Randall's, if you guys watched my last couple videos, I talked about buying Randall's hay down there. That's still under his hay sheds. So we've got a decent amount of hay down there too. And now that we have an actual start date when we started feeding our cows, I can really start playing with the numbers and see how we're gonna get by this winter and see what we need to do to get us to till the time we go up on the range here next June. But as of now, we're gonna feed our cows later this afternoon, and we're probably just gonna short them a little bit of hay, not feed them quite as much as they need, just to get them a little bit hungry for tomorrow, because tomorrow we're gonna try to take the herd down to Randall's and start feeding them down there out of those hay sheds that we talked about. So we'll just short them a little bit of hay tonight, so then that way tomorrow all of them will be fairly hungry, and hopefully they'll just follow us right down to Randall's. We'll have a tractor probably in this flatbed trailer, and hopefully they'll just follow us right down the road into the pasture down there. And our thoughts are to go down in that spring pasture close to, I was telling you guys that there's another pasture down at Randall's that has a bunch of willows and tall grass similar to what was on our river pasture down here. And we're getting far enough into the winter that a lot of that's going to be bared, but I think a lot of it's still going to be exposed. So we're going to go down by that pasture and start feeding down there, but give them access to all that tall grass down in there too. So then that way they've got all this high quality hay that they're being fed, and then they can fill themselves up on that taller grass there and them willows. So that's what our thoughts were, at least, and we'll see how it works out, and we'll just keep an eye on them, make sure they're staying fat and healthy, because we're getting close enough to calving that we don't want to be, starving them at all. So we'll see how it goes. So my dad and I are going to hop in the side-by-side here and see if we can get out to the tin cup side over here and just check on the water, see how these bunch of cows are that we have over here that we're feeding, if they're getting plenty of water down in there. Then I'm gonna run down to the river pasture where all of the other cows are at before we started feeding, and just make sure they're all up here being fed. And I'll grab the blocks of salt that we threw out down there. I know them tubs are gone by now, so we'll pick up them empty buckets and bring them up here with us too. So while my dad and I were down on the river pasture, we pulled these panels up out of the river just to keep them from freezing in there and getting washed down the stream eventually this spring and throughout the winter. And while we were down there also, we found these 5 cows that had been hanging out down there. So we brought them up to the slough pasture and put them with the rest of the cows. Come on, dogs. Hey, come on, load it. So we're just gonna feed with my truck tonight, since we've already got the trailer hooked onto the truck. And I think we'll be fine without the chains, because we've got a pretty good feed ground packed out there now. I'll try to film a little bit of it, but my GoPro batteries are pretty low, so I don't know how much I'll get. So we don't think them 5 cows that were down on the river have been up here yet, so we're gonna feed the same amount as what we have been feeding, just to compensate for those few extra mouths in there. And even feeding this amount, they'll still be a little bit short for them, so I think they'll still be pretty hungry tomorrow when we go to move them. What do you think, Piper? What do you think, Piper, huh? Want to feed them cows? So Elsa and I just ran down here to Randall's place to make sure all of our gates are ready. We got the ones open that we need open and shutting the ones that we need to have shut. So as I was saying, we're hoping them cows will just follow us right down the road with that load of hay. And we'll just come right out here through this hay field and then come around here through this gate here, come right here along the spring, and we'll just start feeding over that way. Then I'll run over here, but you'll see all these willows back here. So that's where all that tall grass is that we're hoping them cows will eat a little bit on there too. And we'll just start feeding out through here. I'll throw out some salt here. And we're gonna bring a couple mineral tubs down with us just on the front of the tractor. I'll probably just throw them just inside these gates in them willows a little bit to try to get them cows to go in there and pick at that grass. It was a pretty crisp morning this morning, down in the single digits, but it wasn't below zero. Starting to warm up a bit though as we get throughout the day. So here's all these tall willows in this pasture I was telling you about. This is kind of how the whole thing looks like. There's a few open meadow spaces here and there, but for the most part it's just thicker willows, and you got this grass sticking up. So if these cows wander into here and start picking at some of this grass, that would be great. Hey buddy, you staying warm? You warm? Kinda? No? So I went and opened 4 of these gates and I tied them to the braces so they can't blow shut or have the cows push on them. And this will be good because this will allow all these cows access to all this grass in here that hasn't been touched. And they can start picking away at this. And they got all these willows through here to take shelter in when the storms blow through. So this will be a great place to have them until we start calving here in February, and then we'll just bring them back up to our place to calve up there. And also, like I mentioned in the past, this will give us the opportunity to feed all that hay out of the hay sheds of Randall's that I bought from him instead of having to haul it up to our place. We'll just be able to feed it out down here. I was driving around putting up that fence and I don't know what the heck these things are. They look like musk ox or something. They just came walking down off this hillside. I thought they were some cows for a little bit. Never seen nothing like that before. I don't know if somebody owns them or where they came from. I wonder if those are yaks. Those might be yaks. I don't know though. Alright, well here we go. I'm going to be in the tractor. My dad's going to be on a four-wheeler. I got my cousin Kenny, and he's going to be on his four-wheeler. And Lindsay and Dawn are going to be in our side-by-side. So this should go pretty smooth, I think. So I'm going to loop through the pasture and get the cows following me. They'll come right out this gate here and just come right down our lane and then up the road. over along that fence line, and kind of feed along them gates, and then throw something inside. Yeah. Yep. So maybe when we get out here about halfway, you can start flaking some off. And so I think this is the first for me. My cousin Kenny hopped up there, and he's the one pitching the hay off the trailer. Usually I'm the one pitching the hay and my dad's the one that's driving, so it's kind of a new experience to be the one driving and somebody else pitching the hay. But everything seemed to go well, from at least what I could tell from up here in the front in the tractor. Seemed like the cows followed us nice and easy, and didn't seem to have any problems getting down here. Happy when we get the cows moved without any excitement. So Kenny is just back there shutting the gate, and he'll pick me up here at Randall's, and we'll head home and see what else tomorrow brings. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching. Have a good day.